Вітаємо вас, шановні глядачі, в ефірі українська телепрограма «Контакт». Сьогодні ми маємо честь вітати в студії бійця ЗСУ, канадійця, який допомагає Україні з самого початку повномасштабного вторгнення Росії в Україну, Adama Oka. Adam, we are very happy to have you here. Thank you for finding time to talk to us.
Thank you.
You are serving right now with ZSU at Alastor unit, which is Alastor, as you mentioned, means revenge, in Pokrovsk area. And you are gunner, or as you said, reconnaissance and FPV pilot. You started helping Ukraine just a month after the Russian invasion. You came to Ukraine March 19th, 2022. Tell me please why a Canadian who never been to Ukraine changes his life so drastically, just leaves everything behind and goes to help Ukraine.
Why is, for me, an easy answer. For most people, they won't understand it. But in the beginning, I was very much watching the news, discovering what was happening continuously. I saw that what Russia was doing to Ukraine was not only war criminal, it was atrocious, killing innocent civilians. Then Zelensky had asked for foreigners to come to Ukraine and help, and within a few days after that, I decided that I would. I was in a position where I could go and do something. I didn't know exactly what I would do when I arrived, but I knew I could do something to help. And for me, it was a pretty easy decision. And I understand that might not be the case for most people, and I don't blame them, but for me, it was a pretty easy decision.
And the first 2 years, when you came initially to help Ukraine, what were you doing?
I was, for the first few weeks, I was focused on the border between Poland and Ukraine, just helping people get through the border. There was tens of thousands of people every day coming through the border. So after a few weeks, when that slowed down a bit, we started delivering humanitarian aid, such as food, medical supplies, simple things like water, even to people that were in the frontline towns and villages. And also places where large organizations like the Red Cross were not willing to go. I was working for a small NGO out of Norway called Paracrew, and we were delivering all over Ukraine where the need was, and we delivered, in my time there, more than 4.5 million euros of medical equipment and hundreds of tons of humanitarian aid.
And then what happened that you switched from being a humanitarian help, you switched and joined the Ukrainian Army, and you didn't have any military training prior to that.
Right.
So what happened that you decided to make that change?
A lot of things led me to make the change. I always kind of thought that I would end up joining the Ukrainian military had the war gone on. I saw that there was a decrease in the need for humanitarian aid, and yet an increase in the need for military personnel and military help. We were receiving less funding, less goods coming in from Europe, so there was less humanitarian aid work to do. I had also fallen in love with Ukraine over the last few years. A lot of people there I consider, family now, not just friends, and so I made the decision that I would be willing to defend Ukraine at all costs.
So why you fallen in love with Ukraine?
It's a beautiful country, very beautiful country. A lot of it really reminds me of Canada, in that sense of the beautiful nature that Ukraine has to offer. The people are absolutely wonderful. Every city, every oblast I've ever been to, and I've been to many, many places in Ukraine, I've always met people that are generous, welcoming, kind, live a simple life, but and that's kind of what I prefer, is a more simple life. So that was a big reason, and the friends that I met that would do absolutely anything for you, and I would do that in return.
What did you have to do? What steps to take in order to join the Ukrainian Army in ZSU?
It's maybe not so easy as people think, but if you are motivated and you're there for the right reasons, you certainly can. I had a friend who was volunteering with the 25th Airborne Assault Brigade. So I had a bit of an in. I went with them to a drone school that they were operating for about 5 to 6 weeks, where I learned everything about drones, how to fly them, how to make them, how to do software on drones for reconnaissance and FPV. From there, I went to my basic military qualification with the Air Assault Brigade, and I had another 5 to 6 weeks of training, military training, mostly combat orientated, and then I joined my unit just a few days after that in December 2024. And I went to position for the first time December 7th, 2024.
Mm-hmm. So for the last, almost for the last 2 years, you were at the front line?
I was on position for 8 months, in the military for 10 months.
Mm-hmm. And before that?
I was training.
Training. Mm-hmm. So can you describe us like a day in your life at on the military position? And obviously you can tell us what you what we allowed to hear, what we allowed to tell, right?
Yeah.
How does it look like?
It really depends on the day. It's pretty loud. It's pretty constant incoming artillery, grad missiles, cab bombs, FPV drones. So there's a constant threat on the front, no matter where you are relatively. If you're within 20 kilometers of the front, you're in a bad spot. But generally our position would be 2 kilometers away from Russian positions. At points, it was even down to just 700 meters. But you know, we work continuously, 24/7. There's always somebody working. There's always one person trying to rest, and 2 guys working, kind of deal. And we just constantly fly drones and do our best to not only protect ourselves and our sector, but to also protect our infantry guys that are just ahead of us.
Can you tell us how drones work? Like, what do you What do you see? Like, are there different drones like reconnaissance and then the ones which can destroy the enemy? And how often you need supplies of them? And how this war is becoming a war of machinery and drones as opposed to infantry and people to people.
And drones are the king of the sky. When you're flying a reconnaissance drone, you can see a very large area. So you see the battlefield from a bird's eye view, which is something ordinary soldiers wouldn't be able to do even just 4 or 5 years ago. So it's a huge difference in modern warfare, drone technology. Reconnaissance drones are constantly flying. So you can basically always guarantee that somebody's watching you if you're outside on the front line. And reconnaissance drones and FPV drones work together. Reconnaissance pilots will go out, find targets, and relay that information, and then command will decide what to use, if we're using artillery or grads or FPV drones. So drones really work together. Even now, ground drones are definitely a big up-and-coming thing. We see them on the front line all the time, not only doing supply runs, but they're evacuating wounded soldiers, and we have drones that explode, can detonate from a distance. So drones have really taken over the 20 to 25 kilometer range of the front line. It's a very massive area that drones have taken over.
And you mentioned that when you're in the position, it's 24 hours. Like, how long do you have to stay there, and how often do you rotate? How also big is your unit? Is the unit that's a unit which is on the position with you, or it's bigger and you have some people resting and then they come to change you? How does that work?
Our unit's a fair size, so there's always guys and females that are going in and out, and we exchange each other. I can't really say how many days we are on position, but we'll say about a week at a time. Sometimes it's a little longer, sometimes it's a little shorter. Really depends on the situation. There's been times where we've been on position and it's our time for a rotation, and it's just impossible to rotate us at that time because, vehicles coming in are getting hit with drones or something like that. So.
What about supplies, like weapons and also like provisions? Do you have enough of that, and is it coming on the regular basis?
We take enough to position with us to last us our allotted time, and plus a little bit extra for these things that can happen where we'll be on position for longer. And there's always an option to get drone delivery supplies, but usually we don't need that. We take enough with us and stock enough on position. Yeah.
How about the psychological state of like yourself and also your comrades? Yes. Is there fatigue? Is there difficulties? When do you have access to some kind of counseling at the position, or maybe when you're rotating?
I can speak personally and sort of on behalf of people in my unit and broadly amongst Ukrainian military in general. We all have pretty good morale, but we are fatigued. Some more than others, and understandably so. It's difficult. It's not for everyone. But I do see that, no one's willing to give up. Everyone's pushing through. Yes, you get tired. There are difficulties, especially if you're, losing comrades. That is extremely difficult for any of the guys or the women in our unit or any unit for that matter. But we do have access to counseling should we choose to.
And can you tell me more about if there is a danger, as you said, 24/7, but the situations in which you've been that, like extremely something like in your memory that was, if you're thinking now about it, you have like shivers up your spine?
Not really. Of course, yes, I have many moments like that. Over time, doing trips to and from the front line, you kind of become numb to what others would consider crazy. Like a drone coming for the vehicle and just missing by a little bit. To most people that would be extremely disturbing. But you really kind of get used to that. There's been a few times where I didn't think I would get out of the front line alive. Our position was completely destroyed by Russian FPV drones. Everything was on fire around us. We had to evacuate our position immediately. I didn't even have time to grab my bag or water. And that day, I believe it was 32 degrees, so it was extremely hot. I had a little kitten on position that was born on position in Milorad.
Did you grab it?
Unfortunately not. So unfortunately I don't know the fate of my little military kitten, but we did everything that we needed to do to stay alive. We moved immediately, went to a backup position that we had already pre-planned. Unfortunately the Russians saw us go there, so then we began to get hit at that position, so we had to move again, and we just had to keep doing that for kilometers. Hiding until we were getting hit again, and then move and take a rest when we can. And we were chased by drones and artillery, for quite a while we were trying to evacuate on foot to get to a safer location.
So while you're retreating, basically because you were discovered by the enemy, how are you able to hide, like on the way? There is probably also a danger of mines in the area, and how do you know, like, where you're supposed to run?
We were lucky where we're in a dense city. So there's lots of buildings, lots of houses. Yes, majority are destroyed, but we could always find a basement somewhere or a building to run into, or even a garage to run into. So we always kind of found a place, and if there was times where we would be walking in a field where there's some trees, and if you hear a whistle of artillery coming in, you lay down flat and hope it doesn't land close to you. And there was one time during this evacuation, walking through in between two buildings, a mine went off about 5 feet to my left and a little bit in front of me, And, you know, we realized, okay, well, there's mines around us, but we just, you know, we keep going. We were walking in the same path as the person in front, and just kind of hope for the best.
And usually you don't see them. They are probably concealed somehow.
We're constantly looking the best you can while still moving, because, you know, you obviously want to pay attention so you eliminate the threat of the mines, but also you don't want to slow down too much and have the threat of a drone coming for you or artillery or something. So,
in your positions at the front line, how close you came to interaction with Russians, and what do you think about them?
The closest was 700 meters, so quite far off. Generally speaking, it would be about 2 kilometers, but it fluctuates almost from day to day, depending on the weather as well will make a huge difference. And what do I think about them? I don't think anything good about Russians who come to Ukraine to take our land. And I say our land because Ukraine is home to me. And I wish them all death who come and put their feet on Ukrainian soil.
What do your comrades and your superiors, the military superiors, think about this war? Like, how long it's going to last, or is there any understanding when it might come to some kind of a end?
My commander doesn't think about it, and I don't think any commander really thinks about it, mostly because they're too busy thinking about other things, and they're too busy doing other things to think about something that might happen. In my experience, and I know guys that will say the same, is we don't plan ahead because we don't know if tomorrow is going to come. Like our personal lives, military-wise, yes, we do plan ahead, but for our personal lives, we don't plan ahead. We don't think about the end of the war. There was all this talk about a ceasefire, possible ceasefire last year. Yeah, we talked about it, but we all knew it wasn't going to happen. And even if it did, great. But at the same point in time, we still have a job to do now. So ideally, the war will end as soon as possible. I would love any day now. I would love for it to end, but we don't think about it. We just focus on our task at hand.
Your Ukrainian comrades, when they go on rotation, they go sometimes probably visit their family. How about you yourself? What do you do when you have a couple days rest?
My unit's my family, so I hang out with my unit. I also have other friends in Ukraine that live more central, so twice I was able to go see them for a very short period of time. There's work to do, so we don't get a lot of time. We get our allotted vacation per year, but I chose not to take mine, and just keep going.
What about your family in Canada?
I'm really close with my nephew, who's just 5 years younger than me, and he supports me, and that's all that matters to me.
And what's your favorite place in Ukraine?
My favorite place in Ukraine is Bielitsa.
Біла Церква? That's near Kyiv.
Yeah, it's my favorite city in Ukraine.
And why is that?
I lived there pretty early on in 2022 for about 4 months. I had a warehouse there. I was operating a humanitarian aid organization out of there, and I met a lot of great people. It's a lovely city. Kyiv is wonderful, but it's too busy for me. I'm from Toronto. I've had enough of the big city. So Bielitsa is one of my favorite places in Ukraine. But I mean, Carpathian Mountains are incredible. Odessa, yeah, many beautiful places.
So Adam, when the war ends, what do you see yourself? What are you planning to do? What are your plans?
I hope I'll be living on a dacha, sitting in a rocking chair somewhere. I plan on living in Ukraine for the inevitable future.
Adam, and not long ago we had a poetry evening here in Toronto at the Ukrainian Canadian Art Foundation, and I realized that you also write in poetry. Can you read something for us, please?
Sure. I have to pull it up. This is called What a Combat Veteran Has. A vet has stories. Stories of laughter are the most told. Stories of danger and close calls. Stories of defiance and strength. Stories that will not be told. Stories that you will never fully understand. For you, they are just stories. For a combat veteran, these are memories. Memories of brothers and sisters lost, loved, and missed. So listen to our stories so you can continue our memories.
Oh, that's beautiful, Adam.
Thank you.
Adam, thank you very much for the conversation, and thank you very much for serving Ukraine and supporting Ukraine and Ukrainian people in these hard times. We wish you all the best, and hopefully one day you will have your own poetry book so we can meet again for a different reason and discuss that.
Sure.
Yes? Okay, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Слава Україні.
Героям слава.
То це була розмова із Адамом Ок, канадійцем, який служить у ЗСУ як у Alastor Unit, це є with 25th Air Assault Brigade in Ukraine. Дуже дякую за увагу.